After the incident with Cain and Abel, heaven had decided that communication with humans would cease once more. No more interactions would be permitted until the first man, Adam, had passed and was introduced into heaven, should he be worthy. For Sarah, this greatly upset her. Just like Adam, she expected that things would have gone well. She would have more opportunities to visit her son in the future. Not only is she no longer able to contact Adam, but he had also stopped praying altogether. Adam continues to be the pure soul from Eden, but now with a heavy heart and weary eyes, she wished she had gone to him in his hour of need. But alas, her duty is to heaven. That doesn't mean she'll stop monitoring him. The door to her office slides open, and Michael pokes his head in.
Sarah, we would like to introduce you to someone.
Sarah looks up from her monitor at Michael, a little annoyed. Can it wait? She was watching Adam as he cries over Abel's coffin.
No, it's important that you be there. You are the first person they need to see,
Michael states. Usually this means there is a new creation. Sarah is unaware of such event, though. This is unusual, Michael. I was not informed of any new creation, and I wasn't part of any recently, Sarah questions.
We found it prudent that you be involved from the outset, especially as you'd been preoccupied with monitoring the first man,
Michael says cryptically, his expression unreadable.
Come, you'll understand when you see.
Very well. Sarah takes one more look at Adam before shutting off the monitor and following Michael to where he was taking her.
The council and I have decided that a new joy-bringer should be made to replace Lucifer.
Michael informs her as they walk. To create a new angel without my knowledge or input is highly unusual, Michael, Sarah states.
Like I said, you were preoccupied, and it was a unanimous decision, so I'm sure you would have agreed as well if you were present,
Michael says. They soon reach the room of creation and enter. Many of the angels working on the latest creation step back as Michael and Sarah approach. In a small crib-like structure lay a female baby angel with 6 wings and silver-like skin. Michael steps aside to allow Sarah to step closer and pick up the baby.
We know how affectionate you were with the first man, and how downtrodden you became with his exile. Therefore, we believe that you are the best among us to care for the young one,
Michael claims.
Do give her a name.
Sarah was upset at the reasoning that Michael had provided and was about to admonish him when the baby opened her eyes and smiled a bright smile at Sarah, a smile that reminded her of Adam. When she heard the baby giggle, Sarah's heart overflowed with a newfound love for the child before her. Emily. Her name is Emily, the Joy Bringer, Sarah happily states. As the sun dipped below, casting golden hues across the sky, Eve lay on their bed that Adam had built for them all those years ago. Adam, Eve whispered, her voice barely a breath. I love you. Adam's eyes welled with tears as he nodded, unable to find words to express the depth of his anguish. 5 centuries had passed since they were first created, yet every moment spent with Eve felt as precious as the first day they met. Their descendants, now numbering in the thousands, had spread far and wide across the land, building villages and cities. Yet Adam and Eve chose to remain in their humble abode, surrounded by the beauty of nature that cradled them since the beginning. It was unclear how it started. Eve had been her normal self up until a month ago, when her health suddenly deteriorated. Adam used every tincture and herb that Eve had once used to cure him and his children. Yet none had yielded any results. Lucifer, his first, and whom he had once considered best friend, betrayed him. Then heaven decided to ignore him and Eve for decades before they decided to humor him with a blessing for his children. A blessing that somehow resulted in the death of one of his sons and the exile of another. While many of his children had come and gone, Akhlama and Seth chose to continue to reside with him and Eve. A choice he was forever thankful for. As he knelt by their bedside and held tightly to her hand, all Adam could do in this moment was beg.
Please, Eve, you promised you wouldn't leave me.
Adam begged with tears in his eyes. He was going to lose the woman he trusted the most, the one who never betrayed him and always stuck by his side even when he wanted to be alone sometimes. Even in her final moments, Eve couldn't be happier. After all, Adam loved her more than anyone. More than Lilith or Lucifer, more than Sarah, and perhaps more than their own children. Almost all his love was hers, and while some obstacles tried to get in her way, they were toppled, and Adam was now hers more than ever. She was glad that Cain killed Abel. It was the push that forced Adam to fall into her arms completely. But now that she was passing, she knew her final destination would be hell. She need not kid herself. The angels would never accept her back. And now that Adam had turned his back on the angels, their afterlife together was pretty much guaranteed. To be together forever. If only she knew her time was coming sooner. She would have pushed Adam to kill himself once she expired. It would be so romantic. Not wanting to live without your soulmate, so you take your own life to be with them. Unfortunately, their children still held a small piece of his heart. Like that whore Aclama, always such a daddy's girl, always trying to pull Adam away from her. She even came up with the nonsense of a father-daughter dance. Such a pathetic attempt of gaining Adam's love. Eve had always pushed for Aclama to find a husband on her own, but no. She always had to stay by her father. But now wasn't the time to dwell on that. Now she needed to savor every last second she had to be with Adam.
Eve.
As Adam watched Eve's condition worsen, a wave of panic crashed over him. He reached out, gently shaking her shoulder.
Eve, stay with me.
He pleaded, his voice trembling with emotion. But Eve's eyelids fluttered close, her breathing growing shallow. Desperation filled Adam's heart as he cradled her fragile form in his hands. Memories of their time together flooded his mind. Days of innocence in the garden, moments of joy and laughter, the warmth of their love, and how she always craved to be in his presence. And now in this stark reality of morality, he felt utterly helpless.
Eve.
He whispered, his voice choked with sorrow.
Don't leave me. Please don't leave me.
Tears blurred his vision as he pressed his lips to her forehead. Eve's breath grew fainter, her pulse weakening beneath his touch. With trembling hands, Adam reached for her, intertwining their fingers as if to hold on to her essence, to the precious bond they shared. But as Eve's breathing slowed to a final peaceful rhythm, Adam held her close, his own breathing hitching in his throat. Desperate, he turned to pray once more. He stopped after Abel's passing, but now, in this hour of need, for the first time in a long time, Adam prayed for divine intervention. Just like Eve had said all those years ago, the angels ignored him. He wasn't sure if the angels were a good or bad omen anymore. Adam could only cry as Aclama and Seth held him from the side, doing their best to bring what little comfort they could on this sad occasion. As they buried her body the next day, Adam uttered one last prayer to Sarah, begging her to ensure that Eve is at peace. Aclama was worried. Her father barely ate or drank ever since her mother's passing. She had seen him sad like this before when Abel passed, though sadness had lasted 3 days at most. This, however, was far longer. It had been close to 2 weeks, and her father was still a recluse. Her father is normally a happy man, but is the happiest when Mother was by his side. Everyone loves him, and he loves them. Her mother, however, she was clearly the happiest with Father, but when separated, it was almost like she was a whole different person. Aclama remembers it well. Usually when her father went hunting, her mother would become apathetic. It was uncanny to see her be so cheerful and loving, only to see her suddenly become such a cold, distant woman. Perhaps it was why she constantly sought him out. She needed him to be happy. Her mother seemed to resent her as she got older. Aclama had no interest in men, and even less with marriage. She loved working the fields and hunting with her father. Their hunting and fishing trips were her favorite moments. Her father would point out various objects or animals around them and tell her their names and characteristics. Once she asked him why hunting made him so happy.
It's not the hunt that makes me happy. It's the discovery. There's always something new to learn every day. from up in the trees to under the rocks, and even below the water,"
Adam said to her. Aklama found it endearing when he would explain it to her with wide eyes and amazement. He always encouraged her to ask more questions, to find out more about the world. Perhaps that was what he needs. He needed to rediscover his passion. As far as Aklama knows, her father and mother had never traveled too far from the village. There is no way her father had discovered everything there is to discover. So if she can reignite that passion, her father's mood should improve. Determined, Aklama moves far from the village and towards the ocean. With a net in hand, she dove into the ocean to discover anything that she had never seen before. 2 hours and a lot of attempts later, she had finally caught something that is new to her. With her prize in hand, she races back to her father. She barges into the house and Adam becomes alarmed. He scrambles to his feet and quickly goes to her.
"Aklama, is something the matter?"
Adam asks worriedly. While he may be sad and depressed, he still loves his children and worries about them. "Dad, can you tell me about this fish?" Aklama holds up her net with the fish squirming inside. For a few moments they only stare at each other before Adam burst out laughing at how cute and silly she was being, coming to him in such a frantic state only to be asked about a fish. "Dad, I'm serious." Aklama pouts at her laughing father.
"Okay, honey, let's see it."
Adam takes the net from her and inspects the fish. Adam carefully examines the fish in the net, observing its unique features. It was small with a rounded body covered in spines that could puff up when threatened. Its eyes bulged out, giving it a comical appearance.
Well, what do we have here?"
Adam mused, turning the fish over in his hands.
"This little fellow seems to be quite the character."
Aklama watched eagerly. Her curiosity piqued. "Do you know what it is, Dad?" Adam nodded thoughtfully.
"I believe this is a new species, one that I've never seen before. And you know what that means, Aklama?"
Her eyes widened with excitement. "We get to name it?"
"That's right.
Adam exclaimed, a grin spreading across his face.
And I think I have just the name for it."
He looked at the fish again, studying its features. Then with a flourish, he declared,
"I hereby name this fish the pufferfish."
Aklama clapped her hands in delight. "Pufferfish! I love it, Dad!" Adam was feeling fulfilled once more. Oh, how he missed the feeling of a new discovery. He usually focused and spent most of his time on Eve. He had promised never to be too far from her, especially with how often she was pregnant. But now he didn't have to. Discovery. The world is so vast, and he had only ever spent his time in the village and his nearby surroundings. There is so much more to see and discover. He doesn't know how much time he has left on this earth, but he may as well use it to fulfill his passion, so he will have one hell of a story to tell Eve when he sees her again. Aklama sees the passion light up in her father's eyes. This was the father she loved seeing.
"Aklama, would you like to discover the world with me?"
Adam asked. "Of course, Dad. I'll go anywhere with you," Aklama exclaims. Her excitement reminds him so much of Eve. That's right, Eve wouldn't want him moping around, lying in bed, and only thinking about her. She would want him to be happy. The next morning, Adam and Aklama had packed up what they needed and were ready to set out. Seth would take over for Adam as head of village. After saying their goodbyes to everyone, Adam and Aklama began their journey around the world, passing by his children and descendants who had set up villages in other parts of the world. Adam and Aklama would talk to them and ask what they have discovered about their parts of the world and note down the names that they had given. If they were unnamed, then Adam would have the honor to do so. Adam was happy once more. As Lilith looked out of the castle window at the expanse of nothing that she is the queen of, she couldn't help but feel bored. Lucifer had spent weeks using his angelic power to build this castle and tame the surroundings. The castle was luxurious, with all the amazing furniture that heaven had. At least, that's what Lucifer said. She had never been to heaven before. Still, with all this luxury, she only had Lucifer to share it with, and after centuries of just the two, she loved him, but she's bored. She isn't like Lucifer, who can be happy for centuries on end creating rubber ducks. After the 100,000th duck, she had run out of things to say about them. Leviathan, being the only sin around, wasn't exactly social herself. If only she had someone else to distract her. Someone to show her the joys of living. Someone like Adam. Back in Eden, Adam always came to her when he discovered something new. Like when he showed her a spiky fruit he called a durian. To Lilith, the durian probably wasn't meant to be eaten, considering how sharp it was and how its scent is like a pungent warning through the air. But Adam, with his ever-curious nature, couldn't resist exploring its mysteries. He approached her with the mischievous glint in his eyes, cradling the durian in his hands like a precious treasure.
Lilith, look what I found today!
Adam exclaimed, his voice filled with excitement as he presented the spiky fruit to her. Lilith wrinkled her nose, eyeing the durian warily. Adam, are you sure that's safe to eat? It looks dangerous. Adam chuckled, his laughter echoing through the tranquil garden.
Trust me, Lilith. I have a feeling this might be something special.
With a playful grin, he reached for a sharp stone nearby and carefully began to crack open the durian's rough texture. Piece by piece, the spiky shell yielded to his determination, revealing the creamy golden flesh hidden within. Lilith watched in amazement as Adam unveiled the fruit's interior, her doubts slowly fading away. Together they savored the rich aroma that filled the air, a tantalizing promise of sweetness and discovery. As Adam offered her a piece of ripe fruit, Lilith hesitated for a moment before accepting it with a smile. With just one taste, she found herself pleasantly surprised by the durian's delicious flavor, a blend of sweetness and creaminess unlike anything she had ever experienced. Lilith sighs as she recalls the memory, how she missed him. Perhaps she will ask Lucifer to conjure a durian for her later. Thinking back, she also missed when he cuddled her at night. The man gave off a nice heat during the cold nights, and she felt safe in his arms. The more she thinks about Adam, the more her mind starts to drift towards lust-filled thoughts. It's been too long since they've seen each other, that the love of a brother that she felt for him before has slowly dissipated, and now the love for a lover has made its way in. She was so blind before. God, how could she think he was trying to control her? The man was just excitable and always pulled her along to show her what he discovered. If only she could go back and redo it all. She would take both him and Lucifer in as her husband. She knows Lucifer wouldn't mind. After all, Lucifer has admitted to having feelings for the first man before. Seeing Adam with Eve so happy back in Eden at the time made her feel angry. But now, after lots of time to think, she realizes it wasn't anger she was feeling. It was envy. She didn't hate Eve. She hated that Eve made him so happy when Lilith was the one that did so before. Lilith was happy when she had Lucifer because he inspired her to dream big and to aim high. But now she realizes that she needed Adam because he reminded her to remember the little things in life that can make you happy. Is that why she wanted to give them the apple? If they can't be happy together, they would at least suffer together, right? It's been so long that she doesn't remember. Perhaps one day Adam and Eve will end up in hell, and after a long series of talks, they could go back to how it used to be. She just had to be patient. After all, no one lives forever, right? As Lilith stares out the window, lost in thought, she is suddenly jolted back to reality at the banging of the castle doors. She makes her way down, and when she opens the door, she can't help but be shocked by what she sees. Eve!